especially mid-stride.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But at least they're getting it right now.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Part of that, no offense to George Lucas, but it's that he's further away from it. He doesn't have this like entire control, like have to write every single thing and
Right.
have like, because that's why the first like 1, 2, and 3 are so political.
No. Okay. Okay. All right. Okay. All right. His phone's on silent. So
Oh yes.
people will call me. Oops. The brightness. Okay. All right, guys. On this camera here. And 3, 2. Oh, Ashley. Give me the 10 and 15 minute mark. Okay. 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 3, 2, 1.
Hi, everyone. I'm Dave.
And I'm Jeremy.
Welcome to our Tech Over Coffee podcast. We're so thankful to Chipola College for giving us an opportunity to film in their studio on their main campus in Marianna, Florida. Boy, Chipola does such a great job of bringing in opportunities for students to study business, tech topics, and for us to research it and share it with everybody. So we're excited to share this podcast with you. So Jeremy, what kind of things do you have for us? We're kicking off the new year.
Yeah.
And Happy New Year to you, man.
Thank you. Happy New Year to you too. It's been a fun time. A lot of news has happened over the break that we missed. First, big shout outs to our #1 fan, Jabrail Jib outside.
Yeah, happy birthday,
his
Jib.
birthday.
Wow,
Crazy
congratulations. Oh, that's exciting.
Yeah.
Good
but,
call out on that.
Get right past that.
Yeah.
So over the break, there was a big cybersecurity breach.
Yes.
And so it's called the like SolarWinds malware hack or something like that.
And it's kind of ironic that it was with security products as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so it started with, it was like some security software that goes into big enterprise companies, like I think 200,000 companies or something like that.
Even federal government agencies.
Basically every federal government agency, from the nuclear like security agency to the Department of Defense to
Fortune 500 firms.
yeah, we don't even know how bad it is yet. And even further, like we're like 2-3 weeks past, and it's still new stuff is coming out, and it's nobody knows, and they're not going to say because of course they can't say, hey, we're just wide open now.
Yes, so they found it after they think it's been there for a few months, and they think it looks like a nation state was involved. And
Most
so
likely.
initially they were just tracking, just looking at historical similar events, thought Russia could be at play, and obviously what a great response from Russia. I mean, just kind of being neutral and looking at it. They're like, you didn't even know who did it. How can you even blame us? And so
Yeah.
there's a fair response that we kind of need to take a step back and get better systems, get better training.
Got to focus on security, right? And cybersecurity has actually been a big problem for the United States for a while, because while we've been ahead on a lot of this stuff, our government agencies are pretty far behind. And it's actually lucky that it happened now and not, I read, 4 months ago or something like that, because the way that our government agencies swap out their computer systems is on like a time basis. So every couple years or something like that, they swap out their computers. And they've just put in a law that requires encryption on these computers. And so a lot of them have just come out of circulation. Previous ones that didn't have any encryption by like default. So now it's, who knows?
Yes, and so probably about a decade ago, I had a chance to work on a research study with one of the federal research labs, and they found things are much better today. It just shows you the vulnerabilities that are out there. You know how we always get those updates pushed to us, and we're like, oh, I'll get that to that next week, I'm busy. So think about that as a business, as an organizational level, and we did some research and found that different firms inside and outside the government, again, this was a decade or so ago, would almost go to 30 days and past where they would do an update on key critical systems for an organization. So just think of the vulnerabilities out there if someone is sniffing around looking for where updates are lagging.
And especially on known security issues, because if there's a known security issue, it's put out there, the fix is done, so it's assumed that it's covered. But if you're waiting behind, that's exactly what bad actors and attackers are looking for, is they see these patch notes, hey, these are the security issues, I can attack that, look for someone that's not patched it. And if you've not done it 30 60, sometimes years, right? Some companies never update their systems. Some people are still running Windows XP. Like, not a good idea.
So one thought could be with studying attacks and hacking, there's those ethical hackers, those steps of maybe working with those who maybe, as you said, bad actors. So maybe it's a time for us to step back and look to kind of partner more instead of building these silos, to look for other countries, other agencies, other entities throughout the globe that we could partner with and have better practices together. And maybe if we
Right.
took that approach together, that we could all win. Because trying to say we're good, you're bad just kind of invites.
It kind of, yeah, it's like, hey, well, maybe you should attack us, or we're going to assume that you are, and who knows? There's really no way to track. I mean, if they've covered their trail, who knows if it's North Korea, if it's China, if it's someone in the United States? Maybe it's just one guy that decided to do something a little crazy and he didn't think it would work. Who knows? And from a security perspective, you only find out this stuff after the fact. So it's like, now is the time to act, because later, you can't do it after. It's too bad that it's already happened now, and we should have done it before, but, too bad, too sad.
So you would think with 2021, we'd have a more exciting, more friendlier topic to kick things off, but that was a biggie
Yeah.
and $1 billion topic. So thanks, Jeremy,
A
for
big
it.
one.
Yeah.
And there are other things to be concerned about here too. And I don't want to make any political statements on here.
You're so gloomy.
Hey, start of 2021, 2020 wasn't exactly the bright, cheery.
Turn the page. Time to be happy.
Yeah, so we'll get to that after some sad stuff, right? Got to start happy with a birthday, and
Right,
then
yeah.
sad with some attacks, and
True.
and then talking about cybersecurity,
Right.
there was a bit of a riot on Capitol Hill, right? We won't talk about any of the causes or anything like that, but from a cybersecurity perspective, you actually had offices wide open for people to go in and basically have full open access to every system in the building.
Yeah, one of the seminal topics when you study computer security or just networking in general, protecting your systems, is social engineering. Is the
Yes.
thought of just people to people. So the vulnerability of having material out, having your system unlocked, open, sharing ideas. Oh, please hold that door for me. So
Yes.
simple things like that, not
Hey,
protecting
I left my key card at home. Can you let me in?
or not protecting the capital of the United States.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of things, and security is a good segue for that. Yeah.
And I mean, you actually now you have security experts that need to be brought into Capitol Hill to talk about this, because if they're not, and they are actually going through and investigating and making sure that this stuff is going to be safe, but if they weren't, you would have systems that could be compromised. Any system that had an open USB port could have anything loaded onto it. And I mean, you had pictures of people in Nancy Pelosi's office. You had people with pictures of the Outlook server, and that everyone uses the same email system on Capitol Hill. So that means they had access to private emails. So you have to basically look at every system and say, is this compromised? Could this have been compromised? You have to assume they all are. And that's
Right.
just, 101.
So physical security, social engineering, the people component, it's really about the people in many instances, about the good actions that people take and about overlooking things. So great segue. And then the thought of protecting an important asset like the U.S. Capitol always should be, at the front, when planning. But the tech companies, so they kind of come into the situation as well.
Yeah.
And wow, who would have thought they had such a prominent role in our society? But
They really do, especially when you look at, so you have protesters that were going in and actually committing federal crimes, looting and rioting and messing stuff up, right? You can't go and steal a podium. I saw people, and they posted pictures of this on Facebook and on Twitter with their faces and their names and where they live. So a lot of people have actually been tracked down from this and have been identified because of their social media posts and have been arrested because of it. And then on a lighter side of things, you've had major officials banned from basically all social media platforms. From Facebook to Twitter, Instagram. Even saw it was like DoorDash or
I saw a Spotify block as well.
Yeah, which
Yeah.
I don't know about that. That seems a little out there. Which in the end, I mean, couldn't you just make another one and just don't say who you are? But you can't have the physical presence of like, I am who I say I am. You have to go anonymous at that point. But that's kind of what's happening, right?
So you go back a few generations ago and you look at the power players in the marketplace of the automobile manufacturers, the utility companies. Now really the tech companies are kind of become interwoven with everything that we do, and to have such a powerful say where they can block leading officials, they can change, impact movements and provide access. That's really sobering
It's
to think of that potential out there for these tech companies.
it is pretty bad because what these companies have that power because we've given it to them. You know, it's like we primarily use Google and Apple as our way to access apps on our phones. You don't have to use Google or Apple, right? But that's where everybody's reach is, and that's where it's advertised. And for a lot of people, they're not willing to go into the phone, go to the developer tab, click the thing that says, I'm willing to install an application from somewhere that's not from the place that you say I can. You know, it's Apple and Google have both made this walled garden where it's difficult to get outside of it. Apple's even worse. So in particular, there's an app called Parler that's been banned from basically every app store. And I knew that's what you were talking about. But it's pretty big deal because like Twitter is friends. They're all kind of working together on this stuff. Twitter, Facebook, they're competitors, but they're not the same platform. But when you have another platform that wants to directly compete, Reddit has had the same sort of thing where Reddit has had competitors and they've kind of shut them out and tried to keep them away from the market. And they're small time situations. So it's not viewed quite as bad, but they're like squashing the competition from the start.
So with Parler, yeah, I was definitely going to mention that with this segue. You know, they're suing Amazon now. And to me, taking a step back, I thought, well, they're just picking them out because everyone's blocking them. Apple, Google's blocking them. But with Amazon, just this...
They're actually the web provider.
They're the AWS.
Yeah.
So think of how many firms today are using AWS for their web server, for their everything they would do for their storage and sharing of information.
It's because we've basically centralized the internet.
Yeah,
Right.
just that cloud functionality. So the power of that, of a company say, well, no, even though we're not saying it's right or wrong, because there have been some inappropriate activities, but to block Parler from even being accessible because that's where everything is stored, that is powerful. That's even more than keeping them off the
It's interesting.
iTunes store.
Because it's you're having these other companies that have the control over this, right? It's not the government that's censoring them, because the government can't tell anybody what they can or can't do when it comes to a business situation, and businesses can decide to like not provide services or not provide the ability to reach a service. The thing is that you can still get the app, but then it's a problem when they take down the website entirely. But it's on Amazon's prerogative to not give service to anybody.
Right.
And it's not like they can't go get service from someone else. But if every company decides, no, we won't give you service, then what do you do? Everyone is blocked from accessing you. They're going to have to run their own servers probably.
It could open the door for kind of a push against the cloud mentality, because it wasn't too long ago, again, we'll use just the time frame of a decade, you would host yourself. You
Yes.
just would have an ISP.
It's a thing you can still do.
So that was the
It's-
normal way. You
It's
didn't
the more free,
outsource the host.
Yes, it's the more free thing to do, and you wouldn't outsource the host for exact this reason. I
Right.
mean, if you go and use Google or Amazon, which now takes up, I don't know how much of the internet, if you block Amazon and Google, like, from connecting to you, you can't use 75% of the internet because it's the easy thing to do. They're so big, they give such good prices that there's really no reason to go with anyone else. But when you have major outages with AWS or Google, you have entire sections of the internet go down. Even things like Cloudflare, which is like DDoS protection, that is also a gateway that kind of stops a lot of websites. If it has a problem, your website won't work. And if you don't have backups like other servers that you can go back to, I don't want to blame Parler for this, but they should have thought about it.
Parler, their response was, "We got this, no worries." doesn't really necessarily seem that they got it, but that's good that they can say that. I mean, what else could they say?
Yeah.
But hopefully they have a backup. They could have some other company that they've
Oh, yes.
outsourced to.
There's-
And there's many others.
There's going to be someone out there that's willing to set up a server for them to do it. Just
Hopefully they had
because.
it in place already. That'd be awful to have to reinvent the
Oh,
wheel. But
I imagine they'll still have all of their code and everything
locally,
else,
yes. Yeah.
but they're going to have to migrate.
yes.
It's just how it has to go down.
So
Uh,
interesting times. Wow, we
yeah.
thought 2020 was behind us, and
Well, 2021 is just 2021, right? I don't know. But yeah, it's kind of weird. You've got this like turbulence in the world, but that kind of stuff is what pushes other things forward, other movements, right?
right, there
Like-
could be some. I haven't heard anyone talk about. Maybe there'll be kind of this anti-cloud or some other way to break off of that. So who knows? There
Well,
could be something.
It's easier to get hardware these days too. Hardware's getting cheaper.
So
Minus like
affordable.
yeah, ignoring the like supply issues that are there. Like getting a new graphics card is kind of hard these days, but getting good solid hardware to run your website, like running a small website is not that big of a deal. And like not calling Parlor a small website or anything. I don't really know anything about them, but it's any website can be run on something, so you can do it. And all of this stuff is kind of bringing forward some cryptocurrency fervor as well, I think, because you've got people that are kind of becoming a little bit more counterculture. And cryptocurrency is counterculture in its roots, but is becoming way more mainstream. I mean, just look at the price, guys.
Yeah, Bitcoin. Wow, I think we did a podcast a few weeks ago, and we were saying it was in the teens.
Yeah, it's
Now,
like 10, 12,
I mean,
15,000.
Yeah, what? 32 or so?
like-
What was the high?
It's 32. I wish I could have said it's 40. It was 40 yesterday, but the volatility is up, my man.
Wow, just have a couple of coins.
If only. But I mean, even if you only have just a few, I mean, you're looking at a real movement here, because you are having people that are trying to look at digital payments, and there's already a digital payment out there that's like, it's a whole system that's built out. Why not just use it? You have more people adopting it, and you have more turbulence, right? If you're worried about stability of the global, reserve currency, why not just hop over into something else? And then you have the markets going crazy as well. I mean, that's all into it, is people are trying to find stuff to do with their money. And it's Bitcoin, it's Tesla, it's Apple, it's big companies, right?
And maybe kind of setting the topic, the tone for our next podcast, have to mention, kind of plant the seed for Elon Musk. One of the founders with PayPal now has their own crypto. So
Yeah.
we'll have to, and we're so fortunate, Jeremy, to have you with this podcast, because you've had your own mining operation
Yeah,
before.
I'm deep in it, and have been for a long time. And yeah, PayPal getting into it, they're offering the ability to buy and sell Bitcoin. Elon Musk saying now that he would never turn down getting paid in Bitcoin again, which is kind of funny.
And he has a new addition to his name, Elon Musk, richest man in the world.
Richest man in the world.
Wow.
Yeah. Well,
that sounds nice.
Tesla's now worth over $800 billion.
Wow.
They've hit another all-time high, and that's just unlocked even more of that payday for Elon.
And we'll have to talk about that. I guess he's maybe 10 billion above Jeff Bezos, who was one of the first $1 trillion firms out there. So
Yeah.
with Amazon, so a lot of topics. So this New Year's bringing so many tech over coffee topics.
Yeah.
For
Oh, we'll have a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
It just keeps coming.
All right. Well, Jeremy, thank you, sir.
Yeah. Thank you.
All right. Look forward to next week. Bye.